Now, while determining these tariffs, the regulator exercises due diligence and rigorous approach to examine what all the investment is being put up by the airport operator and any other entity that is claiming to levy charges on the users. The regulator ensures that only efficient and essential investment is allowed, so that there is no gold plating, so that there is no excess capacity creation. So for example, if the passenger capacity is, for example, 5 million that is targeted, so we try to ensure that the capacity matches the targeted traffic. So it should not happen that the traffic that is, the capacity that is created is for 15 million, while the traffic is just around say 5 or 6 million. So that ensures that the charges are not overly excessive. Now, apart from that, we ensure that the tariff that is levied takes into account the useful life of the asset. So, for example, if the asset is created which has a useful life of say 30 years, so we don't levy the charges which is compensated in just the initial 4 or 5 years. So we spread it over 30 years or 20 years depending upon the type of asset. So that ensures that user pays only the fair part of the investment that is being used by him.
What do you think are the ingredients for a successful PPP from a private sector perspective?
Thanks, Kamaya. I think with the benefit of hindsight, given that I work for the first ever PPP in the port sector in Sri Lanka, it makes it a little easier. But I think, in taking the space where the country is at today, the first and most important thing for any investor would be that there is clarity of purpose and conviction on the part of the government and all the agencies involved of the need for it. I think that is very important before you go out there and try to attract investors for PPP here. If I take the port as an example, I think there should be clear conviction and understanding amongst all the agencies. It's great that we have a national agency for PPP, but I think the agenda of the PPP agency must be fully known and agreed by all other branches of government as well. The next thing is, I would think that the process itself, once that is clear, the speed and the pace at which we do it. So if the process is clear, the speed at implementation is also critical, because in today's fight for capital, as a country, our God-given locational advantage alone is simply not enough. The third thing I think is critical is fairness. It has to be, not only should the process be transparent, but it also, investors must be convinced that they are going to be treated fairly.
We can't talk about connectivity without mentioning technology. So I'm going to turn to Anish and ask him, based on India's experience, what are the technologies that underline a PPP and its success?
So now let me bring in the technical perspective in the PPP. So in India, we have I should say, digital revolution, which is propelling the Indian PPP infrastructure creation on a high growth trajectory. So in India, we use a digital platform called Gati Shakti for project development. So Gati means speed and Shakti means power. So how speed and power can be woven into the project development? That is one of the key ingredient for any PPP success. So the previous speaker also said private sector looks for the speed. You cannot wait for 6 months or 8 months just to DPR get prepared. So how we can squeeze in this time and make the rolling of the project very faster?
I'd like to hear what are the PPP developments taking place in the Andhra Pradesh?
So the major thing is this one, that we want to move into this $2.4 trillion economy. And with our per capita, which has to move towards $42,000 by 2047. So 100 years of India's independence, we have to achieve this. So to achieve this, we have back calculated what should be the investment size in the state. So there's a huge investments required for it. With the current rate of GSDP and the current rate of investment, we are not going to achieve that. So that's where the government decided that we must involve the private players in a very big way. So 85% of the state's investment is going to come from the private players. the most important thing is the policy framework in which the PPP comes into play, and also the other infrastructure facilities in which we are planning to involve PPP in every aspect of it.